Today, on the Premiership Perusal podcast, we got the last international break for a while. Me and Sam are going to break down everything from the title race, relegation, new manager, player of the year, bunch of stuff about each and every team, some predictions, maybe dabble in some transfers. It's all next on the Premiership Perusal podcast.
Manchester City are still alive here. Balotelli, Aguero! Back, Fuchs, the ball in behind Damian Vardy! It's 11! It's heaven for Jamie Vardy!
You are an ostrich. Well, your head must be in the sand. Is your head in the sand? Are you flexible enough to get your head in the sand?
Now the fans are shouting every week, Louis van Gaal's army! Louis van Gaal's army!
Feet after a fabulous start, the game just got away from you there.
I have nothing to say.
Nothing to say about the game at all.
Drama from day one! This is the league we want to watch!
All right. Sam, how's it going, dude?
Hank, how's it going?
It's going good.
We're free from the international breaks forever.
Yes, for a while. It's going to be...
Asterisks until next year.
Yes. Enough of Mikel Antonio.
Scoring absolute belters against the United States of Freedom.
I don't know how he does it, dude. Based Greg Berhalter, goes in there, hostile environment of like 400 people.
Yes.
Gets a result.
Yeah.
What a genius.
Big draw.
Genius.
Massive results.
Premier League, got a lot to talk about. We'll kind of bounce around, but we'll start with the title race and get your thoughts on that.
Yeah.
As of now.
Let's start.
So, how many teams do you think realistically win in the title or have a chance? Even if it's 1%. 3 or 4?
I still think 3.
Yeah.
I know people are getting a little up in arms about West Ham.
Yeah.
But
we got to see the depth a little bit.
Yeah, we've mentioned it on previous episodes. They like to play with, the same group of guys. And that's going to be tested.
True. Very true.
I really only think Chelsea, City, and Liverpool, of course. I mean, that's obviously the safe answer. But
yeah, how would you rank them? Because I agree. I think it's those 3. And like I said, Chelsea and City are tied for me. Maybe a slight edge to Chelsea, just because. I mean, what did I say last pod? It's Chelsea's lack of for sure goal scoring, and finishing, Man City's motivation, and then Liverpool's depth and injury concerns. Mm-hmm. It just comes down to what you trust most with that.
Yeah, the last time we were talking about this, I was riding high on Liverpool.
Yeah,
I think that's kind of changed.
I mean, they didn't really fall out of form. They did have the one loss, but I guess they dropped the one against Brighton. Yeah,
the loss and the draw hasn't been as convincing, and I am concerned about the midfield, with Keita being out, and now Robertson is out for this next coming match.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just concerned that things are going downhill a
Kinda
little
quick.
too fast.
Yeah.
Not saying that they won't be up there, but I think Chelsea, for me, is number 1.
Yeah.
Slightly over.
City.
I would put City and Liverpool tied together. Maybe a slight advantage to City at this point. But, Liverpool on their day, I think, are better than City.
Yes, I agree with that. It's just a matter of them holding up over the long haul.
Yeah.
And who you have more faith in taking care of the smaller teams. I kind of have more faith in Liverpool taking care of the smaller teams on just like any given day kind of basis, but I mean, over the long haul, it adds up, man, and they're going to be making a Champions League run, that's for sure.
The depth that Man City has,
not to mention the domestic cups,
is just insane.
Yes.
Like, they can just rock out like 2 full squads
pretty much
and beat pretty much anyone except for maybe like Chelsea or Liverpool.
Yeah.
And that's going to be key. I mean, we're seeing Chelsea's depth being tested, and they've held up. They've held up with some unexpected guys like Loftus-Cheek and Ross Barkley. and missing guys like Lukaku and Werner.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of Liverpool, we haven't seen quite the same thing where a guy gets injured, the next guy comes in.
There's a little bit of a drop off.
The only guy I would say that kind of works with is Tsimikas, the backup left back for Robertson. Everyone else, when they try and make a replacement in midfield, it's always the wrong kind of guy.
Yeah.
You always have a guy who's way too attack focused, and then just get super exposed.
I don't mind Curtis Jones filling in because he can do everything, but he doesn't really excel at anything in particular. So I don't mind him. But when you go from he was the second choice, now he's taking a knock.
Yeah.
So you got Oxlade-Chamberlain. I don't know how much faith I have in him.
Yeah, definitely not as like a number 8,
No.
what they need.
Exactly. He's kind of out of position.
Yeah.
Moving on somewhat, this top 4, if we're thinking the 4th spot, we have West Ham, Arsenal, United, and then a whole bunch of other teams in the mix that probably all combined have like a 2% chance of getting there. Brighton, Wolves, Palace, Tottenham. Who would you rank in terms of who you like for that? West Ham, Arsenal, United. How would you rank them?
I think I would have to say United still.
That's how I feel. And I don't feel good about it, but that's how I feel.
Yeah, it's pretty disgusting, but United do have the quality talent. And I mean, if some of these guys, start turning it on, like say Sancho starts popping off or something, like they can get kind of scary pretty fast.
It's just a matter of figuring out the right formula.
Yeah.
And as much as Ole, I mean, he's not I don't think he's an elite manager. I think he's a good manager.
He's enough to get you top 4.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that might be good enough. I think I'd have West Ham second just because I know kind of what they are, except we don't for sure know about their depth, but we know their starting 11 is amazing.
Yeah.
They just pull guys like Ben Johnson out of nowhere, plug him in. So now it's like Soufal's a backup, and we've seen how good he is.
Yeah.
So the main thing I worry about with them is Antonio.
Yeah, right. I mean, he goes down and you have a very tough hole to fill.
Yeah, because they don't really have another just straight up 9.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. They have a bunch of attacking midfielders, holding midfielders, plenty of defenders, but...
Yeah, and that's one of those things, like maybe you get by, a couple weeks like they had, when he got the red card.
Yes.
Maybe throw Jared Bowen up front and kind of play like a false number 9. But for any extended period of time, that's going to be a tough one to deal with.
Do you have more faith in West Ham or Arsenal for top 4?
I would probably say West Ham. I know Arsenal's been on a pretty good...
Is that anti-jinx?
No,
But
Arsenal has been on a pretty good streak, but if you look at the opposition, it's not like that
amazing
in terms of quality. I mean, you beat Tottenham, you draw with Brighton and Palace, and
Yeah, beat Watford.
When you face tougher opposition, I think things are going to show some cracks.
For sure. I would say the defense might be a little more leaky than as has been, because it's normally really good, but once or twice a game they'll just have a really sloppy moment, and it's like if you're playing an actually good attacking team, they might make you pay for that, and then it flips the game on its head.
I'm actually more concerned, just to touch on that point before we go.
Well, I'm more concerned about the striking options, but I'm just saying as far as the defense, they've been holding clean sheets and stuff, and it's like there's a chance for that to not hold up if they play a good team and say they if they had that play against Watford and they're playing a better team,
right?
Maybe they work a pass and score it or something. But
yeah, I personally am more concerned about the attack. We've seen sometimes Arsenal can really struggle to score some goals, and I feel like Arsenal, if you looked at their expected goals versus their actual goals, I would probably assume that their actual goals are higher than their expected goals.
Unfortunately, I don't look at stats.
Yeah, thank God.
I do, but I didn't for this pod.
That's okay.
I would say I love the way that Arsenal are playing right now.
Absolutely.
I had in the back of my mind, I'm a little concerned that Arteta might just eventually go back to the horseshoe ball rather than this quick, fast-paced attack. And then, so we got that settled. Europa Conference League spot, who'd you bet for that? It's kind of a crapshoot, but...
Potentially Tottenham sliding in there.
With Conte?
With Conte. I mean...
I wouldn't feel good about it if I was...
it's very early to be saying anything about Tottenham. But Brighton, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, if Basuma stays healthy and stuff and out of trouble at strip clubs.
Wolves, I don't see Wolves.
Yeah, I mean, they got up to 8th because they went on that stretch of like a 5-game unbeaten run, which included 4 wins. Yeah. I could see it holding up to where they're in between 8th and 11th. I think that's probably where they'll finish. But 8th, again, that's like top part of it. Palace, if they get a little more out of Edouard, get him clicking, you never know. Kind of shore up the defense. But, it probably has to be Tottenham as the safe bet.
Yeah.
Not to mention with Brighton, it's like Maupay is back to being Neil Maupay.
Right.
He's not really a
scoring is still
threat.
An issue for Brighton.
Mm-hmm. So, did you want to talk about Tottenham?
Let's talk about Tottenham.
We already know how it's going to end.
Yes,
it's going to end in disaster with the board and whatnot, and them not spending enough for his liking. But
it's about the journey, not the destination.
Exactly. What are you thinking with this? How is he going to get the best out of Son and Kane? And because I don't know. I have concerns about it because he relies so much on wingbacks. And Tottenham's wingbacks and just wide defenders in general stink. They are very, very bad.
I just think in general, the style of play that he's asking out of these players is just very much goes against what most of the players are more suited for, which is kind of fast counterattacking, more kind of like an Arsenal style play, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas you try and get them into playing like a Chelsea, Man City pass heavy.
I get that. It's definitely not the best fit for Kane and Son. They can fit in if they try first off for Kane, but I would say that they can fit. It's just not their ideal system. But not to mention the rest of the midfield. Yeah, I'm kind of worried about that. I don't think Højbjerg is like a terrible, terrible fit for this system. But that other spot of like Oliver Skip, I just don't.
I feel like you need someone who can hold possession better than
Højbjerg.
Yeah, I mean, I like Højbjerg in there just kind of as like the defensive side of the pivot, but
it's more like they're just missing another defender, so Højbjerg has to step up and do what they're kind of missing, and that's not what he excels in.
Yeah.
So they're already in a tough spot.
Yeah. Yeah, they really do need just someone who can really pass the ball and distribute it if they're going to have any success. I mean, the wingbacks, it's concerning, yes. I
what do you think about their defense? Do you think their defense has a chance to get better than it was? I mean, it has to get better than it was late under Nuno, but like more towards the early in the season form? Because I think that there might be a chance there.
I feel like it's more likely to be exposed to be
it's just
worse,
open.
Actually, because,
it's just open.
Because earlier in the season, you're just kind of sitting back, and we've seen, players look better when the whole team is sitting back and defending.
Yes.
When you're really being pushed on like a high line or something, that
you're
shows
leave
your
it open.
quality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, lucky for you, Eric Dyer's the best center back in the
True.
Premier League.
Yeah.
Let's go to the other new managers, but towards the bottom of the table. So, in case you were asleep and missed this, Norwich, Villa, Newcastle, all getting new managers. Dean Smith to Norwich, Stevie G to Villa, and Eddie Howe to Newcastle. Of those three, what do you like best in terms of fit?
I feel like it's kind of hard to say with
Dean Smith a little bit, but
I would say it's hard to say with Stevie G and Aston Villa.
just because we haven't seen him.
We haven't seen him. I haven't watched Rangers play at all. I mean, he had a lot of success there, but it's quite a big step up. Dean Smith with Norwich, I kind of like that. I feel like, Dean Smith's had a lot of success with Brentford in the Championship, and I feel like this appointment is kind of risk-free, so he can just kind of go in there and try and implement something.
Yeah,
and
I think
if it works, it works.
I was going to say, I think this year for him is kind of just, you can have it go. It doesn't really matter. No one expects you to stay up. And then what really matters is next year in the Championship, which Dean Smith has done well at, Norwich has done well at. So the expectations really kind of kick in there.
Yep.
Yeah, what about Eddie Howe?
My fear with Eddie Howe is that this position is you're being hired to be fired, pretty much. I mean, it's a ticking time clock with all the expectations you have of the new owners. I'm sure they're going to be, bringing in some signings.
Yeah.
Anytime you have this kind of appointment in this new regime, it's ultimately going to end up with someone being fired.
Yeah. I don't hate that hire for Newcastle. I actually kind of like it as far as the club. And Eddie Howe, I mean, anytime you get a Premier League job, it's fine. It's just a matter, if he does well enough in terms of like keeping them up, really, then I think that keeps the door. He will be sacked. I would almost guarantee it, end of the year or early next season. But I think that at least keeps the door open for like potential high level Championship jobs or low Premier League jobs. That's really all you can ask for. You don't want to be Gary Monk out here and go from like mid-table Premier League, lower Premier League, high Championship, and just keep going. Yeah, and it just gets worse.
Yeah, I like the appointment. It's just...
It's a task.
Not
to mention...
I like Eddie Howe, and I'm concerned that he's going to get kind of a raw deal out of this.
Oh, for sure. I think that his struggles with defense and Newcastle's defense being poor, I don't know.
Yeah.
But he should be able to get more out of St. Maximin and Callum Wilson than we've seen the last few weeks under Graham Jones.
Yeah, for sure.
Sticking with relegation, you have a favorite 3 to go down?
Well, number 1 obviously has
Norwich.
to be Norwich. Yeah.
Who are the other 2?
Other 2?
I think I got 2 for you. I think I had a prediction. I think you have Newcastle and Watford.
I still like Newcastle going down, yeah. And, I feel like it's kind of a toss-up between Watford and Burnley. But ultimately, I feel like Burnley, they're a
little
have
more
the
stable, a
trap
little
card,
more
and
safe.
they're like, we're going to rattle off like 5 wins in a row or something.
Yeah.
And we'll be fine.
Yeah, you don't feel good for Watford right now. They had the big win against Everton, but I don't know, some uninspiring performances since then. They had maybe one chance or half a chance against Arsenal. And then they had the one at the very end, which was like a empty net, but it was from a tight angle and stuff. So it wasn't. And they didn't create it. Yeah, they didn't create it. So yeah, I would probably, for power rankings, I think I'd have to put Burnley above Watford for the moment. Burnley kind of clicking, and who knows? I mean, Burnley can obviously fall off a cliff. We've seen it.
Let me ask you this, though. Aston Villa?
I still think they'll finish somewhere between like 12 and 15 kind of range. We'll see with Steven Gerrard. I think that from what I've seen of his Rangers sides, I think that their squad isn't a bad fit for him. He really utilizes the wide, almost like wing backs, similar to kind of Conte. Not really like Conte, though, because they don't play 3 at the back. But he needs his fullbacks getting up the field and attacking. And Matty Cash definitely help with that. But we'll have to see if he gets, Danny Ings and stuff back and can keep Buendia going. That's a huge thing. He's been looking better, at least. That's something.
Yeah, you got to figure out the whole
Buendia and Bailey.
Buendia, Bailey, Ings, Watkins. Like, what are we going to roll with here?
You just got to have someone start clicking in terms of their form. They snap into form, and then you just got to roll with that guy and keep going with the hot hand. Simple as. But I still think that their best formation is 5-3-2. it was working well earlier in the year. And I think it's a matter of having either Buendia or Bailey on the field. I don't think you can have both of them on the field.
Yeah, I agree.
So, Leeds, they're not. I don't think. It's close, but they're getting their guys back, and they've been playing a little better lately.
Yeah, I feel like they have been improving.
Yeah.
Earlier in the season, maybe after the last international break, you might have been thinking,
yeah,
it's looking a little rough.
Leeds are trending up for even being in 15th, but
they'll do enough. Kind of like a down, sophomore slump.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Player of the Year candidates. So it's technically 8. Right now, obviously, Salah's the favorite. I was just more curious to get your other 7.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, Salah number 1. Maybe.
You want me to list mine?
Let me think. I would say Declan Rice, Kovacic, Mendy. Yeah, what else you got?
All right. So we have Salah 1. Here's the official power ranks right here.
Okay.
Because I have the only vote for it. Salah, Declan Rice, Reece James, Conor Gallagher, Bernardo Silva, Alexander-Arnold, Cancelo, and Antonio. And here's a short list of all the guys who just missed the cut. Kovacic, Mount, Rudiger, Mendy, Diaz, Foden, Jesus, De Bruyne, just because I think he's kind of coming on. Bowen, Van Dijk, and I don't even feel good about that. That's just a bank that he's going to start playing better. Ramsdale, CR7, and Bruno. And wait. I must have got rid of it, but he should be in here. Emil Smith-Rowe.
Yeah, I was going to say no.
I thought I had it on here. I must have just...
Yeah.
Because wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, he should be in the rest.
Yeah, Ronaldo, and I don't think I said Ronaldo, did I?
No.
Yeah,
and
Ronaldo.
Unless he really gets going, then he'll be in there. But yet I'm giving like De Bruyne and stuff the benefit of the doubt, so I don't know.
I like a guy like Conor Gallagher for that because I feel like in the scope of how much they mean to the team,
he's
like huge.
Yeah. And you'd say the same thing about Rice if West Ham wasn't just so good all the way around.
Yeah.
And their most important guy probably is Antonio, only because if he goes down, there's no one really to replace him. But Declan Rice has been so good this year.
And it's also a position that isn't like the sexiest position.
Yes.
He does a lot of hard work that goes kind of unnoticed. But
It's not goals and assists.
Yeah.
So, Reece James, number 3. Agree, disagree? 7 combined goals and assists on the year. Pretty decent defensive stats.
Yeah, he's been pretty good.
Would you say he's the most vital player for Chelsea? Or would you say Mendy is?
Honestly, I would say Kovacic.
Really?
I feel like when they don't have Kovacic, it's just like it's different,
It is. It is.
I
think
Mendy
there's
has
a
been
little
huge too, but
there's just a little too much overlap when it comes to Jorginho and Conte.
yeah.
Obviously not the same player, but the Jorginho and Kovacic is better than Jorginho Conte, and even Conte Kovacic is better than Conte Jorginho. So
yeah.
Moving on. 5 most watchable teams, Sam. Rattle them off.
Okay, I'm going to be biased in my number 1. I love watching Crystal Palace play,
I don't think that's biased.
especially if they're playing at Selhurst. Man, what a stadium. It's so sad that they're kind of going away from those kinds of stadiums.
Yes.
Because those are just the absolute best.
Keno, absolutely.
Best atmosphere, second to none. Second team I enjoy watching is probably going to be, I would say
He's hovering over Everton, everybody.
Everton. Yeah, no, I would say probably Liverpool second. And then
I mean, Salah's just so good.
Then I would put West Ham third.
Okay.
Brighton fourth. And I would throw in Arsenal fifth.
Okay. Let's see. What do I have? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. I had Newcastle in there until Bruce was sacked. Let it be known. They were number 5. Fifth, Wolves. Fourth, West Ham. Third, Palace. Second, United. Because it's just a great time to watch.
Good memes.
And then Chelsea number 1, just because they're so well-rounded. It's just, you're watching one of the best teams in the world out there.
Yeah, I think my thing with Chelsea is that like they dominate the game so much that it's like so one-sided. Sometimes it's not as enjoyable to watch as, something a little more open.
That's fair. All right, we got some quick hitters. I don't know if anyone knows this out there, but Sam's a licensed MD. He is a doctor.
Yes.
And sometimes doctors have to deliver good news and bad news to people.
What's up, Doc?
Dr. Sam.
Yes.
I'm going to name people or teams or part of teams. And
Yes.
you have to give good news or bad news about them.
Okay.
Rafa Benitez.
Oh, I got a lot of bad news, and it's coming quick, man. You only got 3 months to live. Not even 2 months at most.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, you kind of feel bad for Everton because you lose your best player. Expectations should just be altered.
Yeah.
At the same time, you are not helping yourself by throwing Solomon Rondon out there.
Absolutely not. And I thought this was always going to be the story with Everton. They started off pretty good, but it's always going to be such a thin line between success and like utter failure with the squads that they're rolling out there.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't want to defend it too much because you do have to adapt, but I thought they would be like where they are right now, like 11th-ish, 12th-ish with Calvert-Lewin, and when he was in the lineup, they were looking a whole lot better. Now there's just too much pressure on Townsend and Damari Gray out there, and then no Doucouré. That's an absolute killer. So you're missing 2 of your best 3, maybe 4 players.
Yeah, I think the drop-off in quality between Doucouré and any other midfielder they have. I mean, when Fabian Delph comes in there and looks good, you got a problem.
It's an improvement. So you think he's still sacked end of the year? You don't think the board, if he stays 11th, do you think the board gives him a second season or no?
I don't think he'll get to the end of the season just because Everton fans are pretty ruthless.
They really are.
And, I mean, if you're an Everton fan, you should have no expectations. I mean, this season was to spend nothing, Yeah,
and you actually you made a net gain in the summer, and you got quality players in. This was about as good as you can expect, but
yeah, you can't just
It's a little more unfortunate. So I would feel, if I were an Everton fan, I'd be disappointed only because it was looking good, and then 2 of your best guys go down. So, but that's not on Rafa. With that said, he's playing Solomon Rondon. I don't know.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
hard.
I'd rather see him play, some youth player ahead of Solomon Rondon.
I would say that there's a 60% chance Rafa's sacked end of year. You're all
End
in
of the
on it.
year, I would say like 80%.
Okay.
I just think, we've
And
the
seen it from.
expectations should be lower, but people get so emotional about it.
You're right. No, you're right. Because
know?
I'm thinking from my perspective. Sometimes I do this. I think
Yeah.
from my perspective what I would do. You're thinking from Everton's perspective and their board, what they do.
Yeah. And I mean, if you lose the fans, like sometimes you're left with like no choice because it'll just become so toxic and get worse. Even if you isolate it into a vacuum, sometimes you can get away with things, but once the fans start getting on your case, then it's over.
Okay. Good news or bad news? Ole.
I feel like Ole, he's weathering the storm.
Yeah.
He's
So you have good news for good times ahead or bad news for bad times ahead?
good times, I would say. He was doing pretty decent to start off the season. I mean, they've had a rough stretch of games this past few.
Yeah.
I will admit that.
I think it's just a matter of seeing it out.
Yeah, I think they're a team that's still in transition, and you're bringing in a lot of guys. You know, some guys Ole didn't even want,
Yeah.
and you're trying to figure out how to work them into the team. But they have so much quality. It's not a complete disaster.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they'll turn it around.
Okay. Good news or bad news for Wolverhampton Wanderers attack?
I would say good news. You know, you have the quality. Huang Hee-chan, excellent signing. Jimenez,
I would say so too. What did we get a fee on that? I never saw a fee.
it couldn't have been very much. I mean, like 15 million pounds. Let's see.
I mean, he only went there a couple of years ago, but then he was loaned out right away. So I can only imagine. It was a loan with 12 million pounds to buy.
Okay, that's an absolute bargain.
Yeah, that's a good deal.
For a goal scorer. I mean, huge. Yeah, I like Wolves. I like their attack.
The only negative has got to be Trincao and Traore are just this year have been oof.
I mean, I'm not too concerned about Trincao because it's a loan, but I'd like them to sell Traore and bring in someone else. I mean, I don't think he's a useful player at all.
I just wonder how much value he's lost.
Quite a bit, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, he's such a hype player.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that goes down pretty quick.
Yeah. Good news, bad news. Crystal Palace's defense.
Good news, but there will be
There's
some
a
growing
chance.
pains.
There's a chance that it turns into bad
You know,
news.
the horizon is good, but, you know, you still have two young center backs playing together.
Yeah.
There's going to be mistakes. We've seen it, but so far, so good.
Good news, bad news for Leicester City's attack.
Lester, I got bad news.
Oh.
It's getting a little stale, you know?
Yeah.
It's too predictable. It's too passive.
Mm-hmm.
You're relying on like a 35-year-old Jamie Vardy.
Who's still near the top in goals, but the service has not been good.
Yeah. Guys like James Maddison, dude, when you get the chance to play, you need to figure it out. None of this like absolute garbage play you're doing, just sharp passes. Quit trying to be the hero. Harvey Barnes, you got it in you. Let's see it all the time. Soumare, I don't know what you do. People love you. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't even consider him part of the attack. Like I've said with Soumare, I feel like he's just a little too much overlap with Ndidi.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't like them playing together.
No.
Do you think that maybe they should drop a guy out of the midfield? Whether it's add another attacker, that probably won't be the smartest thing, or add a defender or something. I just don't... Because Harvey Barnes, they almost play like a 4-3-3 at times, because they'll have Lookman, Barnes, and Vardy out there.
Yeah.
Unlike last year where they had Iheanacho and Vardy. I think this is really just coming down to James Maddison dropping off.
I think it comes down to like individual play between like Harvey Barnes and Madison, whereas you had the quality in prior seasons.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and if those guys were firing, you could get away with, you know, hitting on the counterattack.
Yeah. Yeah, my problem with Barnes is, like I said, he can create for himself, but not really for others. And Madison was a guy who could create for others, but he's just not the same guy as 2 years ago.
Yeah,
right now. He's fallen off.
He's struggling.
Bad news for Leicester's attack. Last one. Good news, bad news. Heung-min Son.
Heung-min Son, I would say good news. He's been on an island pretty much this year.
Yeah.
And this past like 3 years, probably. I feel like Conte will probably really focus on the strengths of Son and Kane and get them firing.
You're trying to say Son was on an island under Jose Mourinho? They had him and Kane firing. I mean, those two were on an island last year.
At the start of the season, yeah.
Just a couple more random ones right here. Brighton, their place where they finish the year, over or well, I guess higher or lower, 8.5. I couldn't even decide.
Oh man,
I said it at like the perfect mark.
Yeah, that is pretty good. I like
It's like, can you
maybe
think?
the 8th spot.
I was gonna say, can you think of two teams that finish higher than them? And it's like,
I think.
well, I guess it's
Tottenham
really
could.
just one, and it's do you bank on Tottenham, Wolves, Palace, Everton, Leicester
And I
being
would
better
say
than them?
Leicester has the potential.
Yeah,
Not saying that they're going to, but they could.
I think I'd have to go just lower and play the field, just because I can't guarantee with Brighton just because they're goal scoring. But let's play a game of Do You Trust? Do you trust? Who do you trust more? I guess Southampton or Leeds.
I would say Southampton at this point,
I see.
but I think that can change. I like Southampton's defense. I like that they kind of have an array of attacking options.
Mm-hmm. This was tough for me because I like Southampton's defense and stuff, and they've been capitalizing early in games.
Yeah.
That's when we saw good Southampton last year. They're capitalizing early in games, and then they weren't really capitalizing later in games, but they're able to play a solid defense anyways. When bad Southampton comes out, they're not capitalizing early in games.
Yeah.
They concede one, and then it all falls apart. I would say it's close because Leeds getting some guys back, and Rafinha's been looking good. He's been scoring goals, and he's been passing for assists and whatnot.
Yeah, I just want to see a little more out of Leeds first before I can feel like I can move them above Southampton at this point. I
Yes.
feel like Southampton kind of got into a rhythm. Like, it's not great, but you know, it's okay.
And then last one before predictions. John Swift must be sold from Reading. Reading with financial issues. Guy has 8 goals and 7 assists in the championship so far this year. For you guys who don't know, he's at 8, number 10. The player comp I'd give him is somewhat like a Tielemans. Where do you think he's going to go? Or where would you like to see him go?
Where do I think he'll go is probably Newcastle, I would say.
You think they'll just offer the most for him? I mean, his contract expires at the end of the year, so I don't think teams are going to be like crazy bidding war for him, but
Newcastle will probably give him some good wages comparatively.
yeah.
Otherwise, I would say maybe
One team I kind of want to see him with is Wolves. They've been a
maybe
little
Wolves.
lackluster in creativity from midfield at times. That's why I'm thinking Wolves, but I think it's like Wolves, Newcastle, Leeds. I think one other team were rumored with them.
Burnley.
Burnley.
Yeah.
I like him on Burnley too.
I don't see Burnley doing
I don't.
that.
I couldn't, but I would actually like him on Burnley. That'd be nice.
I would say maybe Tottenham.
Don't do it.
Maybe.
That's not cool.
Maybe.
That's not cool. We'll go predictions here to wrap it up. I got 5. Are you ready for them?
Yes.
Number 5. And this is by the next international break, so
Like
late January.
February?
Late January.
Is that late January?
Yeah,
That
they
was
moved up. It
February.
used to always be February. Now it's late January from what I saw. Wolves will drop to the bottom half of the table. That's not too crazy. We're building up here, okay?
Yeah.
Leicester remain out of the top European spots, so they're not even to 7th. They're at least 8th or lower. Brentford move into the top half. Rafinha goes top 3 in goal contributions, so assists and goals. And the last one is 2 or more managers are sacked.
Who do you think gets sacked?
Ranieri.
Rafa?
No. I'm thinking a sneaky one would be if Southampton fell apart, Hasenhüttl.
You would say Hasenhüttl above Rafa.
You never know.
Interesting.
I could see Rafa too, obviously. We had this
What about
discussion.
Braj?
I don't think he gets sacked. But I think there's this weird thing because he's being rumored with United.
Yeah.
I don't see why would he be. You talk about people failing upwards and stuff. Why would Rodgers go to United? How is that an improvement over Ole? They're both just solid to good managers.
Right. I was thinking about that the other day, actually. I was like, I don't think there's anyone really in the world who can, like, come in. Maybe Conte. Moyes, yes. Respect the Moyes. I mean, they shouldn't have burnt that bridge too soon.
No, well, you can always go back. West Ham proved that.
True. Who's going to come in and fix that? I mean, you got a lot of work to be done. It's not just like come here and win the title. It's like we got to
sort out.
We got to get to work, boys.
Yeah, we got to at least get top 4. We got to sort out who our main guys are, who we're not even going to use to offload.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, I don't know if you consider fired. I could see like quick departures out of nowhere for like Conte and even Eddie Howe, just because of the way the clubs are run. You just never know.
Yeah, true.
You just never know.
Yeah, who knows with this new Newcastle regime? I mean, we talked about Everton. The fans are ruthless. Newcastle, they're like the number one. Like,
yes, hostile.
They hate everybody.
West Ham, people might forget, but West Ham were like that for a good while too.
Yeah, West Ham were pretty dire, to be fair.
Yeah, they really were for like no reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I feel like it'll be 2 somehow. I think it's gonna be Ranieri for sure, and then one other one out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm. Here's my prediction: Arsenal are gonna have a tough Christmas period. Big game coming up against Liverpool.
Do they fall? Do they remain in the top 7?
Top 7, I would say.
Maybe 7th.
Maybe 7th or 8th.
Okay.
I think it's just going to be a little tougher, though. It's not going to be as easy as it has been.
They at least have better depth than Tottenham, Brighton, Wolves, teams in that kind of like 7th to 8th range.
Yeah.
So that gives them a little bit of an edge, I'd say.
There is a big concern over the midfield. I mean, you lose Thomas Partey, and the next thing you know, you have Maitland-Niles in the midfield.
Well, he's looking like a killer out there.
He looked good against Watford, but that's Watford. Let's be fair. So, overall, I would say Chelsea probably keep firing. I think
You think they remain top?
I think they'll remain top and maybe even get, maybe
some ground.
A good 6-point lead or something.
Who are we thinking 7. Of the mid-table teams maybe has a little rough patch coming up here?
I would say,
without looking at the schedule,
potentially Palace. I feel like a new team like that, a lot of young players, has the potential to go through kind of a struggle.
Yeah.
I like your prediction of Wolves dropping. Yeah,
I think they're going to fall more to like the 12, 13, 14 range coming up.
Yeah, they had that good stretch of games, that 5-game stretch, but other than
I'm a little worried about their defense.
Yeah.
Their defense hasn't been that great. Connor Cody's been good, like passing the ball, and even at defense he's been okay. The rest of it's like, I don't really trust it as much as I did before.
I don't really like the reliance so much on like Moutinho and Neves in midfield.
That's why I'm saying if they could get another guy like that Swift guy,
that
would be so much better for him. They need to bring in just another midfielder in general. In the window, because
they rely a lot on like Jimenez coming back
and to be creative.
Up the ball.
It's kind of like what Kane was doing a little bit.
Right.
For England and stuff. But any predictions near the bottom of the table?
Bottom of the table.
Are Burnley gonna make a resurgence?
Burnley, they could rattle off some wins. That's always a possibility with Burnley. They have that in their repertoire. Sean Dyche knows how to get results in the Premier League.
What if Norwich made it semi-interesting? What if Dean Smith actually did a half-decent job?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, they have nothing to lose at this point.
Yeah.
That's a big weight off their chest.
They're only, I say only, but 3 points off the last relegation spot, 5 points off 17th, which, that's a lot for relegation teams, 5 points, but still.
They have some good attacking players. Like Rashica.
He came alive last game.
He can pop off.
Yeah.
If you bring Todd Cantwell in, arguably your best player, hopefully he'll be playing. the defense has looked better with Omobama Dele and Ben Gibson in there.
Grant Hanley, you need to leave. If you're listening right now, you can leave.
Yeah, he can leave. They could sell him, and that'd be all right.
Let's just touch a little bit on transfers.
Yes.
For my transfer predictions, I have Pogba will probably leave end of the year, but Donny van de Beek and Lingard are both out winter window.
Yeah, that's a good shout.
Another one, and Sevilla's come out and said, I didn't hear anything about it, and that's why I think I'm just talking myself into it. Sevilla, it was pretty quiet about Koundé, and I was like, oh, maybe something's going on here because no one's talking about it. And then Sevilla came out a couple days ago and were like, we're not going to sell him till the summer and we'll deal with it then. But, I mean, who knows if that's not just to push it over the edge or something. And that may just be a massive cope on my part. I think he's going to go to Chelsea or United.
Yeah, it seems
in
like
the window.
It's a matter of when, not if, with that move.
Rank this on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely it is. City actually buys Kane this window. People keep talking about this.
This window's 0.
I just don't see it.
Yeah.
I don't see it.
Even in the summer, I would say like 2.
Yeah. I don't see it. I think Kane's kind of just stuck.
We're talking about Daniel Levy here. Like, if he doesn't want to sell, he's not going to sell. Yeah. He doesn't care about what anyone thinks.
I don't know. Some of these wages are getting so... I guess not wages. The transfer fees are getting so crazy that I think we're just going to see way more guys just have to wait out till free agent.
Yeah.
And then leave on free.
True.
Because it's insane.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any way, say Tottenham were to sell Kane by some miracle, the Vlahovic guy from Fiorentina, who's supposed to be like the next big young striker, has been rumored with Tottenham and Arsenal mainly.
Yeah.
Any odds they get him? I think they'd have to spend like 50, 60 mil at least.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be a bad shout. I mean, you have Conte.
I think it'd be more likely for them to just get like Belotti, who for sure wants to get out. I think he's supposed to just go to like AC Milan and stuff in the summer, but
yeah,
I could see Tottenham just be like, here's 35 mil that you weren't going to get for him to Torino.
I kind of like that one too because he's more of a finished product.
Yeah.
And I think Conte, he's being brought in there to win
get
some
results.
Games,
Yeah.
He doesn't build for the future. He builds to win.
But Kane's still staying at Tottenham. Just keep that in mind, everybody.
Yes.
Rate on a scale of 1 to 10, the odds Aaron Ramsey comes back to the Premier League.
If he comes back to anyone except for Arsenal, I will be heartbroken. That's all I'll say.
He's not really exactly what United need, but he'd be better than whatever the hell they have right now. I'd kind of like to see him on United.
I think
he's not really your typical 6 or anything. He is more of just kind of an all-around 8, but that's... I mean, if you're just going to load up the midfield with 5 guys, I'd rather have him out there than guys they have right now. I don't want Matic or Fred out there.
I could see him joining Villa.
Really?
Yeah. Or Newcastle, if they...
He has been rumored with Newcastle if they were to spend big.
Yeah. I'd love to have him back at Arsenal, though.
I don't know if he's one of those guys where... Because he gets insane wages at Juventus. That's why he left in the first place.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of a pay cut he would take.
Well, he's got to because...
I know. Well, he has to, but I'm just saying in terms of...
right.
To go to Newcastle.
Right.
It probably won't be a huge drop-off, but then you're going from Turin to Newcastle.
It depends how much of, of a role he wants. If he wants to be like the star player, a place like Newcastle is a good spot, or Aston Villa. If he wants to be more of a luxury kind of in and out of the team, maybe he goes
where's Aaron
United or Arsenal.
Where's Aaron Ramsey to Everton?
Aaron Ramsey to Everton. That's where Arsenal players go to die. He wants to link up with his mate, Alex Iwobi.
Yeah. Oh, God.
And Theo Walcott.
Do you have any predictions as far as transfers go? Any clubs you would say Gonna look to bring in some guys.
The only team I really
Or like,
expect...
are there any pressing needs for teams where you're like, okay, they have to go out?
I think Newcastle, for sure. Like, if they want to stay up, they got to buy some players, whether that be midfielders or defenders. They got to buy someone because their trajectory is going downwards. Other than that, I feel like the winter window is always kind of disappointing. Everton, you would say they need a midfielder, but they're not spending any money.
No.
Maybe a team brings in a youth player or something, kind of like the Palace where they brought in Olise.
You would hope for some teams to do that, but it's like, who knows? It's always such a crapshoot. I've heard Renato Sanchez's name thrown around for a couple teams. That would be nice. Hopefully he could rebound from his Swansea spell that he had in the Premier League. But
I wouldn't mind seeing him at Tottenham, actually.
That would be so much better than what they have now. It's not even funny.
Yeah.
Even if he went to like Liverpool or something, like it would. But again, Liverpool wouldn't sign Wijnaldum on a free, or not on a free, but just re-sign him.
Right.
So what are they willing to pay? Who knows? Could you see any like of the lower teams, any guys making jumps to like bigger clubs? Or are you thinking just because a lot of times that's just the summer? Like no way Calvin Phillips gets sold this window.
Yeah, I mean, someone who I would think potentially would be Rafinha. If he keeps popping off.
I couldn't see it this window. Same with like Ismail Sarr. Like I just feel like it's a summer move. If it were a lower team, it would probably be like Cantwell or I don't even know. Is there anyone?
Tarkowski.
It could be Tarkowski. You never know. They got Gibson there to replace him or me. But yeah, I was trying to think of someone maybe even on Palace, but Liverpool panic buys James MacArthur for like 10 mil.
Absolutely insane. Nathaniel Klein.
Oh my gosh, bring him back.
Yeah.
Where's Glenn Johnson? Bring back Glenn Johnson.
Yes. Absolutely.
Bring back anyone who's ever played on Stoke.
Peter Crouch.
Is there anything else you wanted to touch on before we got to do predictions for the games though?
Yes, let's talk about these upcoming fixtures. Match week 12.
Match week 12.
It is 12, right? Not 13?
No, it's 12.
Okay.
So, the first game, Saturday, early one. Chelsea, Leicester, at the KP. What are we looking for in this one, Sam?
I'm a little scared for Leicester. I'm a little nervous.
Really?
Their defense has been a little suspect at times.
Yes.
Especially like Soyuncu. But Johnny Evans back there, he solidifies things. Chelsea, I want to see him get back on track. You dropped the points against Burnley. Let's see a convincing
Surely
performance.
Mount plays this game. I thought he'd play last game.
Yeah.
Apparently not. They got to have him out there. I would say one thing to watch will definitely be Chelsea's attack versus Leicester's defense. Who's able to really show who's the boss of that fight?
Yeah.
I'll go. Oh, man, I don't feel great about it for Chelsea for whatever reason. Something about Leicester. I think it's that win over United, which might just end up being irrelevant in the year. But it's sitting in the back of my mind thinking Leicester could do that to Chelsea. I'm going to go with a 1-0 Chelsea.
I'm going to say 2-1 Chelsea.
Brighton, Villa, at Villa Park, Stevie G taking on Graham Potter. What are we looking at in this one?
It'll be interesting to see how...
just Stevie G's tactics.
Yeah,
in
Stevie
general.
G, what kind of lineup he goes with, whether he goes with Buendia or Bailey. back three, back four.
Now, I got a question for you. Does this favor Villa because Graham Potter doesn't know what to expect from Stevie G? Or is this going to be harder on Villa's players because they got to get acclimated to the new system?
Yeah, I think it'll be tougher for Villa because Brighton, they'll come in with a good game plan, have a lot of the ball probably. And they're going to put Villa to the test early. I think it'll be 2-0 Brighton.
Okay. I'm going to go with the safe 1-1 draw for both sides. I think it's going to be a pretty conservative game.
Okay.
Palace, Burnley, Turf Moor. Burnley hot as can be.
I feel like this is one of those games where Burnley wins. You wouldn't expect them to win necessarily, but you kind of just get that feeling.
Our guys, Palace, are going to do a number on Burnley. I'm going to be watching. I think the main thing will be to see how well Burnley's long balls are being played, because I think there is a capacity to stretch Palace, go over their midfield, and test their defense.
Yeah.
I think that's the main thing.
Mm-hmm.
Test Anderson, Guehi, and their wide players. We know how good Mitchell's been. Joe Ward has had moments this year where he's looked a little shaky. But, no, I think that's what Burnley has to do. That's their key to success. I'm going to go, I think there might be a lot of draws this week. I'm going to go with a 1-1.
I'm going to say 2-0 Burnley.
Your love for Sean Dyche. He looks so good rubbing his face and his bald head out there.
Absolutely.
Brentford, Newcastle, St. James Park. Eddie Howe at the helm.
Yeah, I think this will be a feel-good match for Newcastle. Honestly.
Really?
I feel like Brentford are kind of slumping at this point. And it'll be good vibes, rocking at St. James's. I'm concerned with Brentford's defense over their past few games. Haven't looked as solid. Hopefully, coming out of the international break, get some guys back.
This is one of those where Brentford won't fully know what to expect from Newcastle. And I think, as we were talking about the Brighton Villa one, but I think Newcastle, they might not take as long to get acclimated to Eddie Howe because they have a few former Bournemouth players on this side, especially the most important, Callum Wilson.
The most important, Matt Ritchie.
Yes, so true. We're going to go with a 2-2 draw. Ivan Toney revenge game comes out of nowhere. 2 goals.
I'm going to say 3-0 Newcastle.
Holy moly.
Yeah. It's going to be
You're going the opposite of the draws.
Yeah. No draws.
Norwich, Southampton. At Carroll Road.
It'll be interesting to see Dean Smith.
I think this is going to be something where we'll be able to tell. If Norwich win this game, I'm going to be feeling pretty decent about them.
Yeah.
Way more than I believed in them under Farka. As far as Southampton, good defensive performances lately. You better keep that up against Norwich. You better.
You better.
You better. As simple as. I'm really going to be watching, because Norwich's defense has looked a little better. Yeah, it's still kind of Norwich's defense, so we don't really know.
Yeah.
They can always piss down their leg. But Adam Armstrong has had some moments kind of coming on. Che Adams playing a little better. Even if they put in your guy Broja. You
got Stu Armstrong coming back into the fold.
Yes. El Nuesi's been frisky this year.
He's been decent.
What are you thinking for this one?
I'm thinking 1-1.
You're going to go with the draw.
Yeah, the draw. This has 1-1 written all over it.
I have 0-0.
I can sense it in my bones.
I'm going 0-0. Like I said, the week of draws. Watford United at the Vic. Watford's always bound to lose to, a lot of times it's City, but sometimes it's Liverpool. I don't think they've ever had it happen to them against United or Chelsea. But the big boys will just come in and throw a 6-0 on them.
Yeah, I was going to say 5-0 United.
I don't know if it's going to be this game. I'm definitely going to pick United. I think this will be the perfect opponent for them in terms of being able to set up in the other team's end, and you'll be able to kind of work how you want to get it, whether it's wide, central. You'll be able to kind of play how you want to. I'm going to go 2-0 United, and it'll be a little confidence booster for the defense to hold a clean sheet. With that said, Ismail Sarr will probably drop like 2 counterattack goals or something on us, and we'll just look stupid.
You can't rule it out, that's for sure. You can't rule out anything with United at this point.
Then that's why they're one of the most entertaining teams.
Yeah.
Wolves, West Ham, Molineux.
The battle of the W's.
Yes, it's the W clubs. West Ham will just have the regular 11. They don't have to really test the depth quite yet. This is where I think it starts to slip a little for Wolves playing teams like West Ham and stuff. I really like...
Yeah.
I know Souček isn't nearly as good as he was last year, and I mean, he was a top 8 player in the Premier League. He was up for Player of the Year last year. And Declan Rice is stepping up even more, so he's not going to be as well. But that midfield between Souček and Rice mainly been so good. I don't know. They're going to give Raul Jimenez so much trouble. I just think it'll be hard for Wolves to score.
Yeah, I think West Ham's athleticism throughout their whole team is just going to be hard for Wolves to deal with. Wolves are a team that they kind of like to be in control of the match. And, if the other team starts pressing or just, kind of pushing them back on defense.
If it's not Everton?
Gets a little squeaky.
If it's anyone other than Everton, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
I'm thinking 2-0 in this one. I was going to say 3, but I'm thinking 2.
I'm going to say 1-0 West Ham.
Okay. Arsenal, Liverpool, it's a big one. You got to tell me what you're looking at on this one.
Well, this is the true test of what Arsenal is at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, this is some real competition. This will tell us, I think, a lot better than Arsenal's past matches about what Arsenal actually are as a team, whether they're really defensively solid, whether their offense is looking better or not. Ultimately, I think Liverpool, sometimes they just really give Arsenal a hard time. And sometimes Arsenal, pull out a 1-0 win somehow.
Yeah.
I think it'll be one of those games where Liverpool look the better team and, get a 2-0 win.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking 3-1 Liverpool.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that I just don't fully trust the attack to really get enough going until it's too little, too late.
Yeah.
And even though Liverpool have a lot of injuries, Mo Salah right now is still a bad, bad man.
Yeah, he's pretty insane, honestly. And, I mean, it'll be interesting to see if Arsenal goes with Nuno Tavares or Tierney. Because if you put
Tierney's
Tavares
just coming
in,
back from injury.
Yeah,
right?
he played some with Scotland. If you play Tavares, though, he gets pretty high up and he could get roasted.
Yeah, he could get torched. That's for sure. Yeah, the wide play of even guys like Tomiyasu and stuff, it's really going to be tested in this one for Arsenal. And I want to see, I don't think it's going to be too crazy for them to get their main playmakers like Emile Smith-Rowe on the ball. But I think Van Dijk will be able to kind of keep Lacazette and Aubameyang at bay.
Yeah, I think the issue with games like this one for Arsenal is the press of Liverpool. I mean, they really struggle with teams that are good pressers like Liverpool are.
Yeah.
And those guys like Smith-Rowe or Aubameyang or Saka, they're just going to be kind of really struggling to get much going. They might get on the ball, but...
When's the last time they played like a really good pressing team? I guess Palace?
Yeah, Palace.
And they turned the ball over twice and it led to 2 goals.
Right, yeah.
So, yeah, unfortunate one for Arsenal there. Moving on to the Sunday fixtures, we got 2 of them. We got the Fabian Delph derby.
Yes.
Everton, Man City at the Etihad.
Could this be one of those games where Man City sleeps in?
No.
No? You don't think so?
No. If they had Calvert-Lewin and Doucouré, yes.
Yeah.
But even then, like, Everton's, as a name, is just a bigger club than a lot of teams out there. I think they're a little more somehow sexy.
Carries a little more weight.
Yeah. Which is so strange because the way that teams like Palace and stuff play are way more attractive to watch.
Mm-hmm.
But it's Crystal Palace. In this one, Man City's lineup, I'm going to be looking at that. Grealish dropped again.
Yeah.
Are they going to go more with De Bruyne just letting him roam wherever he wants and play the ball as he wants? Yeah, it's. I don't think it's going to be too spectacular of a game, to say the least. I'm going to go with the 2-0 City.
Yeah, I like 2-0 City. I think it should be pretty easy for them just to control the game.
You would think. But maybe one sloppy penalty to Andros Townsend. And you never know.
Or Andros Townsend banger. Can't rule those out.
You can't. I'm going to be watching this one. Spurs Leeds.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
Bielsa and Conte.
The battle of the minds.
Yes. What are we thinking here in terms of what we're looking at?
So we'll have to see Spurs. If they're still, obviously they're still going to be trying to work the possession and building out of the back.
I think there's a sneaky chance Leeds is going to be able to play a little quicker than Tottenham in this game and break faster, spraying the ball across the field and just opening up that defense.
Yeah.
Because that's how they what we saw out of their last game against Leicester, that was about as close to old Leeds as we've seen this year.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of unfortunate that it came when an international break was coming, but maybe, with their training, Bielsa's able to enforce some of those ideas even more upon his guys, get his guys back. I don't know. I'm kind of feeling a little good about Leeds right now. I'm feeling white-pilled about Leeds.
I think there is also the thing to consider is, Harry Kane had a good international break. Maybe he comes in feeling refreshed.
Oh, boy.
Him and Son could take advantage of
Leeds' stinky defense.
Yeah, their defense. Otherwise, if they're kind of playing their slow, terrible play out of the back, that doesn't cause too much concern for Leeds.
Them playing out of the back against Everton was probably the best I've ever seen of any team.
It was a wonderful display of football.
It was so good. I couldn't believe I was watching it. It was literally men versus children.
How am I so blessed to be watching this wonderful performance?
I'm going to go 3-2 Tottenham.
I'm going to say 1-1.
I think it's going to be open.
Yeah, it won't surprise me.
Do we have a prediction for this match week, Sam? Do we have a big one?
The prediction for this match week. Let me look at the games here. Let me rub my crystal ball. This one is going to be...
It can't be a hat trick from someone on Man U.
A goal from...
Matt Ritchie.
J. Rodriguez.
No.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Premiership Perusal podcast. Catch you next week. Players!